He's always up here, plays really good songs. And also thank you to KILI. My name is Brian Charging Cloud, and I'm up here with my wife Karen. And before I go on, I would like to say good evening to all of you. Some of you are going back from work. I think it is 90 degrees out there. So take your time and enjoy this hot weather, because we have been having some really cold weather. I am happy because it's warm. Finally, we are now into spring weather. And and the days are longer, so on the way back from work, you don't have to worry about the deer. You can see them. But if you travel after around 6:37, then be careful. They are really hard to see. So again, good evening and welcome to KILI Radio Storytelling Hour. Come up here every Wednesday from 5 to 6 and share a story, and I tell a story, and then sometimes we touch on the latest in education happenings, sometimes even sports. So again, welcome. And before I go on, I wanted to say good evening to Charlie up in Martin. Charlie, if you're listening, have a good evening. And Chris, I want to say thank you for coming to Chankpe Opi yesterday. Chris came and talked to the students about our way of life. Today it's really important that we continue to share our language, our way of life. And our way of life, there's like at the school he did a blessing ceremony, and that is very important. And song, and also I got a new drum, so we welcome, we call him Tonkashila. We welcome him to the school, and from now on, we have a heartbeat of the Sankpeopi Owayawa. So again, Chris, thank you for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your song, and we all want to say thank you. Washtaya lo. And maya lichtatu tona nagopan kamhena lila pilamaya. Lemachtiat hakpe machapina lecha wa unashna. Woya konjio blak. Naish na ko le iapikila. Ona wani tu watohan kaichi. Waya le iapikila ilagamicha. Ana o hinia oksankshawat. Taku iblut khinte hena ibulukcha. In chankunji. Chankunji na meninesna wakishn cha. Takon khokcha itra chamle. Hona nako le han konfikile. Asne ibulukcha. Le wana le han o on konfikile. Otsad lech dat ke ha vanash wichoya konjo blak. Ona nakon le takoti ya fikile hekta ke wanet vanash le watohan le mitkhaychuk chi meneluza etke bole pechala hekta ke betu zapta secha onke jaja pe hat khjan ka khapa chai saki makina Wogalagyanka. Kale Lakota pikile chai Wogalagyanka. Shankua ogana unkupi kile. Tuktek takuku unkiksiam hena iwoga yankap. Chahe oganas lichtat ki ha yuna unkiap. Ana nakku woya kwa ihahi chahe nakku blak. Cha anagop tankapun ha. Le ikanchola kile nakku. Nila wopila wake le 90.1 le prahinsinte tahan kahwok. Ona nakunka miniluz hektar 88.7. Ona le wonspe obnae ogna KILIradio.org ogna kahwok. Li ata le makhochma mimea akan konkile uhomni le waheha kahwok. Chahachang KILI apelo. Jatho lila watoha iblabishin hane gana sha Karen gana takon inktisich.
Tragertje lila opette washte. Lila ja ash tukashin. Oji manke. Echtat kia uhilpshne hani trakoja laya chatuna wa tiata awichaki akewa intambala ke hiyo tante maashte na ampetu ashte lo hapechi lilaashte na hi hani ki ake waji ampetu ashte lo hakt
Ashte. No, I was really glad to see my grandsons this evening. Karen brought them back, and their uncle is watching them right now, and Amos and Braylon, and all the children. I work at the school, and it's really good to see all the children, and we always want to have our children walk a good road and get all the education they can. Today, education is very important. To have a life today, you need that education. Any way you can get it. And this evening, I wanted to share something that we talked about. Karen and I talked about this. We talk about the language. When I come up here, I always talk about the Lakota language. And then I have a story that I might share if I have time. And then sometimes we talk on education and the latest happenings in sports. And this evening I wanted to share this conversation that I had with Karen, and I think this comes from my work and what I do and what I believe. And there's two words that I always use when I come up here, and especially when I talk about the Lakota language, and that's commitment and persevere. And this is something that I do with the language, and I'm always glad to see to talk about my language. And the conversation I had with Karen was, I was sitting there, she was driving, so I was looking out the window, and just before we crossed Cheyenne River, some ideas came, some things that I probably was thinking about from maybe the previous week. And it went back all the way to 1879. 1879 was there's some words. Do not speak Lakota. You cannot speak Lakota. And that's not all. There was others, like a school was built. Not only one, there's others too. And there were some laws that were made forbidding our way of life. And then, so I went way back there, and it's those words that made my thoughts. Do not speak Lakota. And then, before I get into them, then I went all the way to maybe just 12 years ago, 2000, around there. We began to say, speak Lakota. Speak Lakota with no fear. And then I began to think, it's like a timeline. It is a timeline. And from 1879, 1880, maybe my grandfather or my great-grandfather, they were told not to speak Lakota. They were told not to do inipi. They were told that their children will go to a school that'll teach them only another life, another way of life. And this went on for how long? Now some of you out there this evening, some of you, if you can look back, as long as you can remember, and think what our people came through. And maybe this went on till 1934, 34 years, maybe 44 years. And then another, maybe 25 years later, we started to, maybe we were like 1970s bilingual projects came. But before they came, when our great-grandma, great-grandpa were told not to speak Lakota, people still speak Lakota at home. We had speakers at home. And up through maybe 1970s, we still have Lakota speakers at home. And then maybe around there, 1970s, we began to speak only English at home. We didn't use the Lakota language. And this went on until maybe 1990. And then around 1990, we only speak English at home. The only place where our children hear Lakota, and not just thoughts. They don't hear thoughts, maybe just words. And then in 2000, we began to look around. we began to see, we began to look around at other schools and wonder what they're doing over there. We have, 7 reservations, maybe 9. There's 2 small reservations. We don't know what they're doing when it comes to language revitalization. And then one day, we see in writing, only this many speak Lakota, our children. And for me, I go to all the schools. I've been to all the schools. Not on this reservation, some in Rosebud, all in Cheyenne River, and some in Standing Rock, Sisit. And I know, and I will say only 1%. Some people say 3% of our children speak Lakota. At one time I said, nobody. There's none. We can only say a few words. And I'm into my 2nd year with the language project. And I'm there. I see some results, but not enough. But we're going to keep going. We said 5 years. And that's the road that we talked about. And then I started to share with Karen, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Or what is it that I need to do? And that's methodology. I know everybody, all the teachers do this. We have really good Lakota teachers, and they are doing an outstanding job. But when there's nobody speaking at home, when there's no encouragement, then it's hard. And I'm going to go back to 1990 and into 2000. There was one day in 2000 that Karen and I and another Lakota speaker, we had many people at this one forum. And at that time, at the end of the forum, Karen went up on the whiteboard. We went around, and there was many people there. St. Tegalishka was there. Cheyenne River Community College was there. At that time, it was still community college. OLC was there. Schools were there. And everyone in there said the only way we can revitalize the language will be Tiata Echela, that means only from home, or only at home. And then immersion was mentioned. Immersion was mentioned. Hello. And then other methods. We have storytelling. We have singing. And we have storytelling ohunkanka. And one person even suggested, he's a good friend of mine, is Dr. Howard from Gallup, New Mexico. He said, you need a revolution, a language revolution, where everybody just pick up the Lakota language and share. So that was in 2000. Now we are 12 years later. That Tiata Echela it's not going to work, because nobody speaks at home. So now the method that we're using is immersion. And immersion is very hard. And the only place that I see that immersion work really good is Karen and I went to Hawaii thanks to OLC. And we set in at 2 immersion schools. And I think I shared this many times. And maybe you can share that a little bit.
I was listening to Brian talk, discussing a previous conversation, and thinking back to I grew up in Wounded Knee, and as a child, small child, I knew not even one English word. It was all Lakota. My whole family spoke Lakota. All my cousins, all the relatives. Language was pretty strong. Everybody spoke Lakota in the community. My father got a job at this place called Igloo, and he moved us over there. And my older brother went to school, but I didn't understand anything about school at the time. I didn't care. But when it was time for me to go to school, I was taken to a kindergarten where I was the only Lakota child, and the others are non-Indians. Anyway, how I got through that year in that classroom was by observation. Every day when the teacher came and she greeted me, I could tell by the expression on her face that she was friendly to me, so I would smile at her and maybe shake my head. Yes. And then every day I would watch the other children, my classmates. I watched them close. And if they do something, the teacher tells them something, and if they do something, then I do it too. So that's how I got by. I never learned one word of English through that time. I didn't understand the word no or yes. But when the teacher spoke to me, and if she shook her head yes, I would too, or no. So but it was I guess we didn't. That's how I understood her, but she didn't understand me. And she had my parents take me through a series of tests, like vision test and hearing test and stuff like that. Eventually I was forced to wear glasses, but when after that we came back to the reservation, and I started at Wounded Knee. And my classmates were all Lakota. I knew them. In school we whispered Lakota to each other, but when the teacher came around, we all just sit quietly and do our work, and as soon as he goes by, then we start whispering in, and then we recess. We speak Lakota and all that. So it's the language pretty strong then. And then through grade school, it was still like that. And then when I was still in grade school, one of my cousins, older cousins, and some older, anyway, I guess they're teenagers, they went to high school. There was about 5 or 6 from the community that went to high school at the time. They were away at boarding school. I was at Holy Rosary and OCS. And when they came back on weekends, they looked really nice, and they spoke English, and they learned new things. They shared what they learned. So it was kind of impressive. And so I think that made a lot of us want to be like them. And eventually, some of us went to high school, and we got to speak English. Excuse me. But the language was pretty strong in the communities in Tioshpayas. Excuse me, I got a cold. But where I noticed the change was in the 1970s. Because then, growing up in the 60s, I noticed that the school did not have any Lakota programs at all. Nothing. And that was going pretty quick. And then in the 70s, two new high schools came up. I remember the one at Wambly and one in Kyle, that 2 new high schools were built, and more people were able to go high school. And in looking back, I think that's where the Lakota language kind of went behind the scenes, I guess, and English became more prevalent. But during the Wounded Knee 1973, it seemed to have woken up Native America, and then Native pride returned, and we woke up to a lot of things, all the injustices, and everything, everything in the past, and which include language not being used anymore and stuff. But that Wounded Knee 73 woke up a lot of everyone across this country, and now we're trying to pick up our language. Most of the other stuff, traditional stuff, are still alive and well, thriving, and yet our language is it's a struggle. So we are concerned about that, and we try to think of different new ideas and methods to help our Lakota children to learn to speak. And Brian mentioned the forum, and we did a survey, and most of the people there said the language should start at home. There's a lot of families that are Lakota speakers, and I think it's time for them to step forward and start teaching or using the language, even if it's just like me with my boys, Ayushta and Hechushni and all that, but that's learning. So I encourage that. Or when they do something good, lilawashte tanya chanu ake dakum, things like that. And then now I have grandchildren, so I made a commitment to speak Lakota to them as much as possible. So well, I think I've gone on too long,
good.
so I'll turn it back over to you.
You did good. Karen, another thing is you mentioned English around 1970s. I remember maybe even before that, well, around there, let's say that. I used to listen to my mother's younger sisters. They used to come back from the boarding school, Cheyenne River boarding school, and they all speak English. And I was still, I think I was maybe in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And then people will say, oh yeah, she speaks English. Listen to her, she speaks good English. And then they're proud, and they encourage that. And
yes.
then you stand there and you just mentioned it, you say, I wish I can speak English too. Because in those days we don't speak English. When our play at home, and then when we go to school, we talk Lakota, and then we're quiet in the classroom. And sometimes some of the students can't even say, I want to go to the bathroom. They have to raise their hand. And they don't have to say anything. When they raise their hand, that means they have to go either restroom or...
back then, those that couldn't speak Lakota, English very well, they're ashamed.
Yeah.
They're to say something wrong or mispronounce or something because someone might laugh at us or something. Now it's the other way. The Lakota. There's a lot of Lakota that are afraid to speak because they don't want to be shamed or they have that fear.
And now we say speak Lakota with no fear. In those days we say English, speak English, and that's really true. That's and that was when we talk like this, it brings out like you and I, especially me. And there's listeners out there on this reservation in Rosebud, Cheyenne River, Standing Rock. People came through this period, but in about a few more years, like right now, say 18. I'd mentioned 1879, 1900s, 1900 to 1934. We don't know what happened then. There's not many. When I work at the school, when I have time during free time, and then we talk to each other. And 1900 to 1934, there's not much. Everybody's quiet because during that period, they have those 3 laws. They go to boarding school. They cannot do this. They cannot do that. And then, maybe in the 1934, maybe into the 60s and 70s, that's when they started to bring some of their way of life back. But they have to do it underground. underground. So there's those, and and today, now we encourage our students to speak Lakota. And there's another one. Remember, I went to a school, and I heard this too at a meeting. One of the students said, my teacher gave me 50 words, 50 Lakota words, and gave me a dictionary. He told me to look up 50 words. That was the assignment for him to help speak Lakota. And the student said, I won't speak Lakota by just looking up words. And then another one said, my teacher teaches Lakota using the grammar. Now that's hard to explain, but when we speak Lakota, our thoughts are different than the English language. Sometimes the most common one explanation is it's backwards. And that's a good explanation. Okay, and then the other one, that is, I think you and I talked about that too, is that we say, I'm an elder. And there's other elders, like I have a sister that's elder, 2 sisters. And if you ask them about the language, our way of life, and like my youngest sister, she'll just laugh. She'll say, that's up to you. If you want to learn, just learn it. The other one will just laugh. So from that, and I run into this a lot, is that there's elders that'll share, that'll encourage, give you that encouragement, that motivation. Then we have elders that will help you, but then they're not going. They'll say it's up to you.
And then there are those who just don't care.
No. Yeah. So, if you're an elder and if you speak the Lakota language, share, encourage, talk
help
to you.
us keep the language, our beautiful language going.
Yeah. Yep. That's really important. Okay, and then see what else was I? Oh, I think I mentioned this maybe last week. I don't know. I was talking to someone and this came up.
I thought of something. Immersion.
Yeah.
Immersion. I think today we have daycare centers.
Oh yeah.
And I think the language should be used. Our language should be used at the daycare centers. With hokshikigana. There's little, simple words that, you can use to talk to the child. When you do that, you repeat it over and over, because children learn by repetition, and we all do. So that'll be a good, good way to start teaching, the young ones, from babies into Head Start.
They start learning when they're 3 years old, maybe before that, but they're really easy to teach when they're about 3. Look at Bill.
Look at the Tagoja Amos.
Yeah.
He's already trying to say unchi.
Yeah. Yeah. So start, if they start doing Lakota at the daycare centers, even the Head Starts, they're going to be really strong.
Yeah, it would be awesome if there was Lakota speakers in these daycare centers who speak to the Lakota children in their own language at all times.
But today what we're doing is we don't teach them until they get to around first grade, maybe before that, year before that, like we're doing. And then it seems like we go down again when they're like around fourth grade. And it keeps going down. When they get less and less Lakota, when they get into high school, they may get Lakota. Sometimes they'll have one semester Lakota, other semester they're not going to have Lakota. Some schools don't even teach Lakota, right? Is that correct? If I say that, will that be correct?
I think so.
We won't name any schools.
Yep.
That's correct. Yeah. And when they do teach Lakota, then maybe it's not all the time, not every day.
No. Maybe they'll have them do beadwork or something else, and play color pictures and stuff, but not using the language.
It's really a tough job, and then it can be done. Before we leave here, I will mention my Toshka Baha. Now I've heard his name. Someone mentioned if Baha can do it, I can do it. But then, how did he do it? He had that desire, that motivation, and the commitment.
Yep.
And he persevered.
Yep.
And he did it. He can sit up here and tell this story in Lakota. And you can do it too. And we always say that. The student cannot do it alone. The teacher needs to be patient, committed.
In teaching language classes at the college, I stress the Lakota sounds, because what I noticed was that, like I said, like I mentioned, shame or fear, that's a barrier for them. So I want them to master the sounds so that hopefully that'll, take away some of that fear, and they'll try. I encourage them to practice with each other, after class, or some of them, in going through stuff, I know they can speak, and they understand, and they can speak, and I tell them, you do it very well, I suggest you continue with it, that would make me happy. So, yeah, they can do it too, if they really, really put themselves into it.
Another one, this is...
and I'm always willing to help.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, here's another one. I heard this from one of the teachers, and she said she came here 26 years ago. When she came, she really liked this area, so she wanted to stay. So she asked the Itancho, the principal, or maybe she said, "How long can I stay here?" She was told that maybe at the maximum 5 years. That was 26 years ago. Because in 5 years, whatever that year was, 5 years, there's going to be a lot of Lakota graduates, and they will be working in all these schools. 26 years later, she was standing in the gym, and she said, "Where are they?" But we do have a lot of Lakota teachers. A lot of them. But we're really getting low in the Lakota teachers that speak Lakota.
Lakota speaking teachers.
Yes. certified.
Yes.
And that's really important. So if you can speak Lakota, if you can get that kansu, then you can help us revitalize this language. And even if you're not Baha is not Lakota, but he's a Lakota speaker. And he's a good teacher, so he can do it. So that's enough. You know what I said today? This was a thought. I was sitting there thinking. I usually think about, like, I have these stories in a folder, and I said, I wonder, what am I going to talk about? Then Tanashi and I, when we come up here on Saturdays, we always say, we don't talk about it, but there's a word, there's a thought, onach oashte and onach oshite. And so this evening, maybe some of these are onach oshite, and then some of them are onach oashte, depending on who you are.
That you do.
Ocha nande mazashkashkanki ha khayalai ha ke apro ankolagle yamani chatona anagopta na kamhena la pilawya le kan kchimi thaiti kchi le nijana khota le vanspichak na mishya taton umla kapcha. We always, when we talk, because we're usually traveling together, we always talk. When we talk, we always come to Lakota language, the culture, the way of life. So this evening we shared the language, and if she comes with me next time, we will tell a story. And so there's something I saw in the computer about stories. Someone in there said, you don't tell stories until there's a law out there that said you cannot tell stories until, I don't know what they said. But, Ohunkanka, there is a law out there that says, do not tell Iktomi stories or Uhunkanka until a certain time in the day. But for me, I always say that, who does this now? Who's doing this now? That's why I'm doing this.
Well, my thought on that is, Uhunkanka is, I remember that in my childhood, where my great-grandmother, I would sleep with her, so she would tell a story. She would tell the same story, almost like often. I would fall asleep while she's telling the story, and then she would continue. A long time ago, we didn't have the Lakota didn't have write down their history, so they had oral stories that they can pass down. You must listen. It teaches you to listen, to hear and to listen. So nachuna nachuna anachopta. Ahera spinach itchahata sha nish hena yoptia olaka oyaki. It's I guess maybe teaching the art of listening.
Yesterday, Chris talked about that, listening. Listen. You listen through your ears, or not ears, but your eyes, your mouth, your heart. And then sometimes, Lakota, I'm Lakota, so maybe I might be sitting there with my head down while I'm listening.
And that's okay. It goes to the Lakota thought. That's Lakota, you.
So in the Western thought, they look you right into the eye. Like when they talk to you, they look you right in the eye. And then I have to look away sometimes.
그냥 마약이네 그 쓸때 참이.
자, I want to it is 6 o'clock, and I want to thank you for listening, and I want to thank my wife Karen for coming up here, and you must come with me again. It gives me encouragement.
Misha, I want to say something. I saw something today. I went going after my grandsons. I noticed that there was a lot of cleanup going on in all the villages, and that was really nice to see people getting out there and cleaning up. That was really nice. Keep it up, and thank you.
And the dog catchers are out, so be careful.
I don't want to go there.
Okay. Well, have a good evening, and Lloyd, I will turn it back over to Studio A. Wopila Tchanka, Lloyd.
Porcupine Beach, home of the many voices, providing a variety of entertainment and music. Tune in to 90.1 FM and catch the different personalities riding the airwaves across the great Lakota Nation. 100,000 watts strong. KILI, the voice of the Lakota Nation.
Hi, my name is Jessica Whiteplume, and I listen to KILI Radio, 90.1 Porcupine, South Dakota, the voice of the Lakota Nation.
Yad Ed, this is Kevin Yazzie of the Daniel Nation. You are listening to 90.1 FM KILI Radio, the voice of the Lakota Nation. Aho.
4 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock here. Good evening to y'all out there. Coming up a few minutes here, you got James Loneware. He'll be with y'all up till 10 p.m. tonight. Checking in at 10 tonight, you got Giggles. Bill O'Neill, he'll be with y'all up till 2 a.m. there. Here goes one by Exile there. Leave you with this. Hope you enjoyed that good old country music.